Okay, so we're here with Caroline and Mariella to present a little bit what we do.
Yeah, brilliant.
So,
Be here with you today, Mariella. Thank you so much.
hello, Caroline. Good morning. So, tell us a little bit about you to start with.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you, Mariella, and hello, everybody. I'm Caroline Haley-Bell, CEO and founder of Create Healthy Choices, and I am a brain spotting practitioner, helping people to recover from domestic abuse and sexual assault. Yeah. And Mariella, please introduce yourself as well.
Great, thank you. So that's me. I'm Mariella. I'm a wellness coach, a health coach. I have a holistic approach to wellness. And I work this, I'm the founder and the CEO of this company, C'est la Vie Wellness, and we look after the person as a whole. So we'll try and explain you a little bit more about what we do. And we stop sharing there and we just keep talking about ourselves. So, Caroline, do you want to start?
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you, Mariella. As you say, the concept of today's conversation is to see how our two therapeutic can actually collaborate together, as you say. So quite often people will look to find a coach, but often there's different services around that we can collaborate with the specialties that we both have. And this is to discover and explore how best we can work with each other. So as you say, describing my individual approaches with supporting clients, especially moving through domestic abuse and sexual assault. And quite often, as you say, our root trouble, our root causes are incidences that happened in our childhoods, per se, that often lead to us getting into toxic relationships. And so what brain spotting does is it helps to find those sensations within your body that are activated, that are making you get into autopilot with those emotions, and then following that sensation with the pointer, we hold that slow presence and focused attention on that sensation, and it releases the trauma blocks from all of those times that emotion has come up, and perhaps even though it was trying to protect you in that moment, it may potentially have had a not so beneficial outcome. So that's where we're looking to help release those traumas and those subconscious blocks to be able to help people moving forward. And that's as you say, that's where kind of that then I potentially maybe stopping with where I can support people after they've released that, and it's like, what's the next step? So Mariella, please tell
Yeah,
us
the
what.
next step might be a holistic approach to the person because, as you say, it's really very important to look after your mind health and your emotions and everything, but it's also very important to look after yourself as a whole person. And we need to have a good nutrition, we need to have exercise, we need to look at a balance between all the different parts of your life. So my approach is looking into these different parts of your life, mainly nutrition, sleep, stress, or mental health, and exercise, physical exercise, because as you know, physical exercise not only is good for our body, but it releases endorphins, it makes us feel better. So once we have solved the big things like the one you deal with, so big blocks, then it's the case of looking after the continuous health, physical and mental at the same time. So, how would you like to describe how would you tailor your coach to meet the needs of each individual?
Well, as you say, ultimately, when we start working with our beautiful clients, it is a one-to-one session that I do with brain spotting. And one of the beautiful things about brain spotting is that no session is ever the same. The concept behind brain spotting is that the client leads and the practitioner follows in sort of like the tail of the comet. Okay. And so when we're holding that frame for our deep dive journey into that subconscious, it's about making sure that the client is feeling safe in their environment, and checking in with those sensations. And what we do is we actually scale it on a level up from 0 up to 10 for subjective units of distress. And as you say, like, it's that constant kind of just checking in. I don't need to know what your journey is, but I do need to know that if you want to continue the frame of diving in for a shorter period of time, or we can extend it for longer periods of time, depending on what it is, and having that open dialogue. And yeah. And Mariella, what does a unique tailoring of your coaching look like for you?
Yeah, it's a similar in a way, meaning that it's putting the person at the center. So I do have some sort of programs, but normally I really try to get each step out of the person, set up their goal. So sometimes we'll talk more about tools later, but we use a tool called the Wheel of Life, and I will describe it later. And so the person looks at his or their own life and looks at what are the different parts and what are the goals that they want to reach. So we set up to those goals, and I help the person really taking them a bit step by step towards those goals. And a health coach is somebody that would accompany you along the path. The person itself is doing the work, but I set checkpoints, I make the person accountable, responsible for what they're doing for their own health. And sometimes that's what we need, because in theory, we all know what we should do, but we don't always do it. So having somebody there step by step accompanying you really helps a lot in making the change towards a better you, but most important, towards your goals. Okay, so I mentioned the Wheel of Life, and I'll explain it better. What tools, what are the key tools?
Mariella, I just have a follow-up question there for you, as you said, with that tailoring of your coaching towards
Yeah.
your clients. What sort of time frame are people looking at working with you for?
Well, it can be different as well, depending on person to person. I normally recommend at least 4 sessions. That can be every week or every 2 weeks. With a 4 session, they can get really the idea of how the change is starting. Then let's say the second period could be like 3 months, more or less. And in 3 months, you can really see the change. And then it's up to them if they want to continue completely on their own, or if they want maybe to set a monthly appointment, a monthly check, and we meet every month and see where they are until they feel completely happy to go on their own, and maybe just do a check every now and then.
Oh, beautiful,
So let's say
beautiful.
minimum 4 sessions to start with,
Mm.
extension of possibly 3 months, and then either let go or have monthly checks. That's
Yeah,
what they prefer.
yeah, definitely. I know that when we're looking to change habits, you want to have that sort of 21-day block to actually really focus on changing the habit, and then the 90 days is that longer section of getting it really ingrained into your habitual habits. And yeah, beautiful. And
Sure,
then
because one session is not, one session can give you the taste of what's coming, but it doesn't really give you much in terms of change. The change needs to come from the person and needs a bit of time. And I guess it will be the same for you, or similar timing.
Yes, so I normally work preferably with a block of 3 sessions, as you say, because we're quite often deep diving into sort of traumas. So that first 2 sessions are looking at exploring those sensations, and then often the third session, because once you've created the release, we want to be able to create an expansion to kind of create more of that sensation within your body that you want to be able to replace it with. I don't want to put words into people's mouths, or like, so it's always client led, but often, as you say, people look for more relaxed and more calm around those environments. So normally it's a block of 3 that we work for. Again, as you say, it depends on what people present with. I know that my mentor has worked for a long period of time, about 7 months, with their client, because they were actually looking to work with like tics, like Tourette syndrome. So each of those tics had different stories to tell, and as you say, working and processing in each of those different zones. So again, it depends on what the client's looking for relief from ultimately. But yeah, so quite often 3 sessions, so like about 3 hours worth of work is very, very powerful. Yeah. Brilliant.
Great.
Yes.
Yeah, I do agree that yeah, changing habits it takes time, and that's so. Do you have specific tools that you use?
Oh yes, yes. I've actually got the magic pointer here. You say
A
the
magic
neuroscientist.
wand?
Yes, yes. You say, because it's essentially what we're doing is we're tracking the optic field across the x-axis and then up and down across the y-axis. And then we can also track it across into the z-axis, so that distance, because again, ultimately, trauma can sometimes be very, very close, and sometimes trauma can feel very, very far away. And it's about understanding within those sensations where that true activation is in that field of vision. We also utilize sort of like the one-eyed brain spotting as well, and that's that activation. But we can also utilize the resource, so finding a sensation in your body that isn't triggered or activated around that sensation, that concept, that incident, and quite often we find as well, even though you can work into the activation, into the hard stuff, sometimes working in through that resource, that more sort of gentle place, that even though it's still around the same incident, it doesn't have that same activation, and that can really be a very profound shift as well. So yeah, so it's quite exciting to be able to work with those concepts. And we also utilize outside window, which is essentially where I, as the practitioner, are looking for somatic, visible clues, where I see that activation is actually presenting within your body. So maybe a leg starts shaking, or I get a shape in the mouth, or like a massively fluttering of the eyes. Often we get a lot of fluttering of the eyes because the subconscious doesn't really understand time. When you've got your eyes closed, it could be any period of time,
Yeah.
right? It's only when our eyes are open that we can really assess that. And so, those are the kind of tools that I utilize when I'm working somatically with the brain spotting. And yeah, so Mariella, what sort of tools do you use? I know you've mentioned the wheel.
Yeah, mention the Wheel of Life, and I'll see if I can show it one moment, which is just one simple tool, but it's quite effective. Let me see if I can show just an example. This is an example of the Wheel of Life. I'll share my screen for a moment. So the idea, there are various parts of your life, and you attribute values to the various parts, and ideally this should be a wheel which is balanced and would move in a smooth way. If it's not balanced, so if you have areas which are more important and others which are not looked after, then your wheel doesn't move smoothly. So that's the main idea. And these parts can be chosen by the client or can be suggested by me. Then I use a lot diaries, because so food diary, exercise diary, because it's very personal, as we said. So I cannot tell somebody, neither professionally nor personally, want to tell people exactly what to eat, how much they need to exercise. Everybody is different. So, for example, I have a lady who is nearly 80 and she's never done much exercise. So I just convinced her to have those 10 minutes a day, half an hour a week. And people might say it's useless. It's not. Anything is good to keep moving, to do something. Anything you do towards your goal is extremely important. Then there are other small tools, but I would say the main important are this diary. You can have a diary of sleep if you have problems sleeping. And working on that, we analyze each part, we see how we can improve either the nutrition, the sleep, the exercise, and move step by step. And we keep the diary of the previous session, so we can see a sort of history. Then I come from a technical background, so I can do graph showing the
Visual, yeah.
change and so on. So yeah, those I would say are the main tools that I use. And there's lots of others, sometimes based a bit more on like a positive psychology that you use as well. Or sometimes I also work with personal trainers or nutritionists if we, with the client, think that there is a need of more more technical input from a specific point of view that can be nutrition or physical.
Yeah,
So
amazing.
yeah, so this introduces us a little bit more about how do we work about with other professionals. Do you have somebody in your network that helps you or supports your clients, or you work in a team?
Yeah, well, I mean, as a practitioner, I work independently, but I do host a monthly peer group for other brain spotting practitioners in order for us to kind of work on our own stuff together as well, and also to set those reviews as well, discuss whether or not we've got clients that potentially may need different areas and everything, be able to support each other in that network. Because I think that as practitioners, it's very important that we have that cohesive network of support. I also work with my local NHS social prescribers team, and so sometimes I get some referrals through from them. I've helped some people, as you say, work through suicidal ideation after the traumas of domestic abuse and losing their children to foster care and everything. So just being able to provide those extra services and bringing that awareness out into the general public is generally how I work with that. But conversely as well, I'm always interested in how I can support other people, as you say, moving forward, where my expertise then like relaxes with that stress and release of the trauma. It's like, as you said, then looking into what other areas are you now looking forward towards building and growing, which is why I'm really excited about having this conversation today with you, Mariella, to, as you say, discuss and explore those steps. And conversely as well, I know some divorce support coaches as well, like, because sometimes those are the concepts that we want to be looking at, as you say, when we're looking at domestic abuse and the like. But yeah, so it's and ultimately I think, as coaches as well, we're all very mindful of taking those medical input forms as well, and knowing who emergency contacts are, and the local support network of immediate 24-hour support for our clients as well, and being mindful of those as well. Yeah.
Absolutely, I fully agree. And yeah, we work in a network of people, and as I said, I'm connected with personal trainers and nutritionists, more both online and in person. And yeah, we do take all the medical information. As a health coach, I cannot give any medical advice, but if I see that there are red flags, so if I see that there are things that I think might be worrying, I invite the client to see a GP or to see a practitioner. And if I really think it's an emergency, I ask the client permission if I can contact the medical. So I will never give any medicament or any type of extra drug, not even herbs or anything, but I do have reference to people that can do it if if the client wants to have that kind of approach. Um, and yeah, that's it. It's very important to work in a network, both to feel supported, as you said, because sometimes the client take in, especially with you, problems which are very, very big, and to give the best service to our clients.
Yeah.
Are you part of any association or
Yeah, so I trained in with
recognize? Yeah.
BSP UK, so that's where I'm affiliated with those.
Okay, yeah, as same here, I'm part of UKIHCA, so the Health Coach Association in UK, which is internationally recognized, and also the Natural Practitioner Association, so ANP. So I think it's quite important as well to be part of a body that recognize our work, support us, and also prove the seriousness, let's say,
Yeah,
of what we do and where we come from.
absolutely. Yeah, amazing. Brilliant. And so just getting curious here, what are the perspectives on the interplay between holistic well-being and trauma recovery, do you feel like, Mariella?
Well, I feel that we can definitely collaborate and refer each other when there is a case that might need something else. So in my case, if I see that a client has if I tells me about a trauma, or if I feel that there is something really blocking them and I've maybe the impression that it might be a past trauma or something, I can refer them to you, and you can maybe have a session to explore. Do you normally have a first explorative session to see if it's something you can help with?
Yeah, absolutely. As you say, it's very definitely important to have that first sort of 20-minute curiosity call with people to be able to sort of assess as to whether or not we're going to be a good fit, because ultimately it's the client's choice, right? And so letting them have their questions and queries and everything. Yeah.
Sure. And it's very important, I believe, to choose the right person on both sides, because especially with you, but even with a health coach, you need to have some sort to resonate with the person. You cannot work with somebody that doesn't share somehow the same value, the same approach. So it's quite important to have this first we call it discovery call or whatever, to see if it's the right fit. So we're saying if I think that could have some sort of block inside, I can refer them to you. And as you mentioned, maybe either at the end of your course, when people want to get back into a more normal life,
Well, I mean,
maybe I can
yeah,
help.
like that's the curious thing, isn't it, about trauma? It's like, and ultimately learning in life in general, we can't know what we don't know, and that's okay. But ultimately, when we look to find a coach, it's about helping us to learn and explore new ideas about how we might want to approach our life moving forward. As you say, sitting in that positivity and using the concepts of what would I want to have happen, and then, as you say, exploring those concepts with somebody like you in that holistic approach to well-being, and covering all bases as well, because otherwise sometimes it also, if you've got too many voices all coming in, it can get quite confusing, can't it? It's like this person's contradicted that person, and so quite often it's important to be able to just allow ourselves to focus just in one direction for a little moment. And as you say, what's beautiful about the way that you work is that even though it's that singular voice of guidance, it covers that full, as you said, whole body person. So yeah, it's really beautiful.
I believe that nowadays on the internet, on the media, we find all sort of advice. Sometimes it's good, sometimes not so good. So it might be helpful to have, as you said, one person of reference that can guide you through the different information and have one point of reference, a consistency, and give you some sort of consistency in all
Yeah,
the information. We were talking when we were preparing these. I sometimes have the feeling of being like those birds that eat and prepare the food for the little one and put it in their mouth. So to pre-digest a bit all the enormous amount of information that we have around and use my expertise to try and filter what can really be useful and not, because I understand people can really get lost in the really mass media
yeah,
sometimes.
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's the concept as well, isn't it? It's like when you think about the way that the brain imagines being better, we
Yeah.
want it right now as well. But that body takes a lot longer. The body is building the foundation from the blueprint that your brain has, and it's about having a coach or a guide that can help you kind of understand the time frame on where your expectations are going to be, as you say, because and also going through all of that noise to help you with finding out what understanding what the blueprint says as well with what that actually needs. Yeah, that's brilliant. I love that. So so
Perfect.
so
So, yeah,
what sort
anything
of
else you would like to add or what? Sorry.
yeah, I was just gonna ask you to really deep dive into what the specific services are that you offer.
Yeah, sure. So I offer a one-to-one coach, as we said, totally so bespoke, totally focused on the client. But I also offer a group session, more, let's say, educative. So on different topics, which could be the mind diet, which is not a diet, but it's an approach to eating based on the Mediterranean diet, and another diet which looks after our brain health. Or I have a group coaching on sleep, in which we do a sort of a sleep education. We don't sleep during the course. We tried to, but how to prepare for sleep, how to have improve our habits. And then I have group coaching, a group about more meditation and mindfulness. So it's 8 weeks in which we go through different type of meditation and different type of mindfulness, and try not only to use it to improve our health, but really introduce it in our daily life, so that we can be really here and now rather than being projected here and there and everywhere.
Yeah.
So single bespoke one-to-one or group coaching about sleep, about nutrition, mind, diet, or a Mediterranean approach. As you might have guessed, I'm Italian, so I'm quite a direct expert in that. And a group coaching about mindfulness. Those are my main packet of offers at the moment. Then I do more specific courses for companies, for corporate, and so on. But that's another part.
Oh, brilliant.
And
Yeah.
you? Do you have?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's just, I mean, for me, like at the moment, the brain spotting is kind of my main major focus. Although I do quite an intensive one-to-one coaching with a single client at the moment, like really supporting them through their addiction recovery. So as you say, but that's that singular package, so that's not open to everybody. As you say, there's those bespoke things. But with the brain spotting, what I do is I offer single sessions or blocks of 3 or blocks of 6. As you say, it's because sometimes our nervous system is like, I just want to try it and I don't want to get involved straight away. And that, but as I said, I do encourage people to start off really with the 3 block sessions, because even though trying it is amazing, and ultimately if you've already had some brain spotting, having a singular session, once you've done it, you'll know how beneficial it is to just have one clearing out every now and again, randomly when you feel like you need it. But yes, or alternatively, as you say, that the 6 blocks, again, it's depending on how people want to be able to give themselves that support moving forward. And that ideally is sort of once a week. But again, we titrate it a little bit. So if your nervous system wants to have a couple of weeks in between those sessions to be able to really integrate and process what we've worked through in the session, because even though the session starts, you're still processing throughout that after and flushing through the changes in from releasing the trauma that gets stored in our body like little pain capsules. So yeah, so that's probably the best way to work with me with those sessions. And also as well, it's beautiful because I mean, as we all know, sometimes when we're looking to explore the pain from trauma, quite often we'll get protector parts that come up that kind of go, oh no, I don't want to open Pandora's box, it's gonna hurt. And quite often we can avoid, like we have avoidance behavior and everything. And so when we know that we're going to be consistent with like three sessions that are pretty relaxed and open for scheduling, and then it just helps for our nervous system to kind of feel into the idea of changing. And what I would really, as you say, love to like just tap into as well, the concept with the positive psychology, that even just making the phone call and getting curious about it, making that first discovery call, is actually a massive step towards healing, because it's making a change for the better for yourself and putting your value and your worth first and foremost, so it's beautiful.
So yeah, making the first step is it's really very important. It's taking responsibility, taking an action.
Yeah, yeah.
So do you have a website? I'll put again your slide on, but if you want to tell a little bit about where you are on social, um,
Yeah, so
where
people.
can people find you?
Yeah, absolutely. So either if people aren't on their phones, they can scan a copy of the QR code that goes directly to my WhatsApp, or alternatively join me on my website, which is createhc.co.uk. And on there hopefully are links that connect into my social medias. As you say, we're on Facebook, LinkedIn, a little bit on Instagram. And Mariella, how about you? Where can people connect in with you?
Yeah, I am everywhere on the net. So as well, there is a QR code here with which you can directly send me an email, or I am on Instagram, on Facebook, on LinkedIn. As I say, I come from a bit of a technical side, so I'm a social media fan. And I also have a website which is celavwellness.info. We will put all this information in the comment, so you will find them just below this video. And do come and have a look at both websites. Come and join us on social, just especially with me. Let's say it's a bit less private and delicate than what Caroline does, but it's you can just come and follow me and see what I do, and see if you like my approach, if you like watching me walk my dog, a bit of my daily life as well.
Absolutely. Live in the advice. Absolutely. Getting that exercise in and connecting that way. Brilliant.
Exactly. I really like to live to live in the same way that I advise my client. I'm not just telling you to do something and not doing it. I fully do it on myself first.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I do brain spotting on myself, and as you say, have my peers that help me with it as well, because once you found something that works for you, you want to keep doing it. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Brilliant.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much, Mariella, for the opportunity to connecting in with you and exploring more about the way that you work with your clients. And as you say, seeing how my clients could be supported with you moving forward with collaborations. Yeah, it was a beautiful opportunity today. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Caroline. And we'll keep working together in this big adventure of life and helping people. Thank you
Absolutely.
very much.
It's a pleasure of being of service. Have a good day.